Hey there, friends. Paul Glasgow with Legally Armed America here. Today I want to talk about gun rights. I know we talk about this a lot, but I want to really talk specifically about people and their gun rights. More specifically, illegal aliens. I don't have a problem calling them illegal aliens. They came here illegally. They've done something illegally. If I break a law, that is illegal, what I've done, right? Now, whether or not it's a law that I agree with is totally different. But by the nature of the law, it's illegal. So anyone who comes here illegally is an illegal alien. They are not migrants. They are not workers coming here to pick fruit and all this other. Our country will not collapse if people don't break the law and come here. Because trust me, I see what's sitting over at Home Depot. They're not picking the fruit that I eat. Nevertheless, where do you stand when it comes to them being armed? Right? They're illegal aliens. They're not U.S. citizens. I don't care what the progressives on the extreme left want them to be. They are not Americans. They are not American citizens. So where do you stand on them possessing and owning guns? You might be surprised what my stance is on this. There's a court, believe it or not, who has actually flip-flopped in favor of illegal aliens. There's a ruling handed down by U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman on Friday. She found the federal prohibition on illegal immigrants, there they go with the immigrants, we're talking about illegal aliens, owning guns, that it is unconstitutional, at least as applied to this guy. I'm not going to say his name. She ruled the ban did not fit with America's historical tradition of gun regulation as required under the Supreme Court's landmark New York State and Pistol Association versus Bruin. The non-citizen possession statute violates the Second Amendment as applied to this case. Thus, the court grants the motion to dismiss. Judge Coleman, who is a Barack Obama appointee, initially found the gun ban for illegal immigrants was constitutional back in April of 2022. However, she agreed to reconsider the case in light of rulings from the federal appeals courts in the Third and Seventh Court that questioned whether those convicted of nonviolent crimes could be permanently disarmed after the High Court handed down Bruin. She concluded breaking misdemeanor immigration laws alone is not enough justification to strip somebody of their gun rights under the new test. The guy in question has never been convicted of a felony, a violent crime, or a crime involving the use of a weapon. Even in the present case, he contends that he received and used the handgun solely for self-protection and protection of property during a time, get this, documented civil unrest in the spring of 2020. That part I had to chuckle at, the spring of unrest in 2020. Remember the Summer of Love? Remember the, the mostly peaceful protest? Yeah, so that's what they call it whenever it benefits them, right? I agree with this judge. This is an Obama-appointed judge who didn't agree with this before, probably because it kept guns away from people. Obviously, that's been a goal of theirs all along. The fact that this judge flip-flopped and changed the way she views this based on a current law, Bruin, gives me a little bit of hope with some of these judges, simply because a lot of these judges are political appointees and they've become political martyrs, if you will, in the court system. And they're not doing things based on the Constitution, which is the original law of the land, and that's how they should rule. They do this based on politics. That's how they typically do these rulings. And the fact that this judge changed the way she thought based on Bruin is very much encouraging to me. Now, I have some things that I feel like need to be clarified in terms of my support of illegal aliens having guns. Yes, I do believe illegal aliens should be able to have guns. First of all, coming in this country is not a felony. Is it wrong? Yes, it's wrong. Should they be here? No, they should not be here. Should they be deported? Send their asses back. But if we in the Second Amendment community are going to stand here and say that the Second Amendment doesn't give us rights, it recognizes rights that we already had, right? The federal government did not give us the right to keep and bear arms. The federal government wrote an amendment that recognized that we already had that right and that right was not to be infringed upon. Even though that's the American Bill of Rights, that is recognizing a right that all men have. All men. Americans or not. This is not an American right. The Constitution might be American, but it's recognizing a right that is not specific to a particular country. So I fully support this. If we are going to stand behind our argument that the government doesn't give us rights, that the Second Amendment is simply recognizing a right that we were born with, then we have to support the fact that all men who are born with that same fundamental right to protect themselves and their families. I'm not any happier than anybody else that an illegal alien is running around out there armed. The fact that he's armed is not why I'm upset. The fact that he is here illegally is why I'm upset. The federal government's doing nothing about that. It's ironic that this is going to bite the federal government in the butt. The federal government has an open southern border. They're welcoming these illegals in by droves. And now word is going to get out that the Constitution is going to recognize their fundamental rights also. And that's not going to be a tack-on charge that's going to stick anymore. So the federal government, the Biden administration, and the wackos on the extreme left are shooting themselves in the foot, pun intended, because now they are going to have illegal aliens who are going to not be disarmed, because now you will have the right. They are going to have that same God-given right that all of us have. Now, I have to take this one step further. If we are going to allow this to apply to illegal aliens, we can't forget about felons. And I know there's different levels of felons. There's different levels of what kind of aggression, and this would apply to illegal aliens also. But I'm talking about Americans here. If an American is convicted of a crime, even if it's a violent crime, but if they're convicted of a crime, they go to prison and they do their time. Isn't that the trade-off? In other words, when a person goes to prison, that's them paying their dues. That's them doing their time. That's their penance, so to speak, for the crimes they committed. Now, do the penalties usually coincide with the crime? No. Usually they're much lighter, and usually they get off or they plea down. But nevertheless, the court system is designed to make a person pay for their crimes. Their sentencing is their payment, right? The time they spend doing that. When a person gets out of prison, shouldn't they get those rights back? Didn't they fulfill their end of the deal? I'm not saying everybody should. There's violent criminals that get back out on the street that I don't think, this is my opinion, that I don't think they should have guns. I'm not comfortable with them having guns. But if you got a guy who went into jail for having, I don't know what a considerable amount of marijuana is, because that's just not in my world. I guess a garbage bag full of marijuana would be something that would get you sent to prison. If a guy got caught with a garbage bag full of weed and went to prison and spent, 5 or 10 years, I don't know what the sentencing would be for that. I'm assuming he went to prison and that was a felony. Would he get his rights back? Should he get his rights back? In my opinion, hell yeah, he could. He should. He did something that was illegal. He went to jail for it. He served his time. He got out. Why shouldn't he have the right to protect himself and his family after that? It's not right for us to keep this man from his. This was a God-given right that he had. He did something wrong. He did what he had to do to get back his freedoms. And if you're going to think that this person is safe enough to be back out on the street, then he should be safe enough to carry a gun. This is no different, in my opinion, than the thinking behind a red flag gun law. The red flag gun laws, my thinking is, why are you taking their guns away? If the person is a true danger, do something with the person. Don't worry about his guns or his garden shovels or whatever else he might have that he can kill somebody with. Do something with the person. Same goes with the felon. If you deem this person safe enough to be back out on the street, why shouldn't he have guns or she have guns? Same concept applies. They're either a danger or they're not a danger, is how I look at this. Again, this all goes back to the illegal immigrant, illegal alien, however you want to call them. I still stick to illegal alien because that is an accurate term. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. Shouldn't it, regardless of what your position is on illegal aliens, again, I don't think they should be here. I think they should all be sent back. But understanding that this is a fundamental right that you are born with to protect yourself, not a government-issued right to protect yourself and your family with guns. Should illegal aliens have that same right to possess firearms in the United States? Comment down below, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.